I pose this problem sometimes to people. I say, let's assume that it's 24 hours before you're born. And all of you can take this test, 24 hours before you're born. And a genie comes to you. And the genie says, what was your name again out there? Whatever, we'll call you Joe. And the genie says, Joe, says, you look pretty promising to me. I think you've got kind of a sense of fair play and a good mind. And so I'm going to let you have an extraordinary opportunity. I'm going to let you design the world into which you're going to be born in 24 hours. It's yours. You pick out the political rules, you pick out the economic rules, you pick out the social rules, you design the world. And when you're born in 24 hours, you're going to be born into that world. And that's the world that's going to exist for your lifetime, for your children's lifetime, for your grandchildren's lifetime. And you, having heard of some of these genie jokes in the past, would say, what's the catch? The genie says, well, it's a very slight catch. I said, when you're born in 24 hours, you're going to emerge in this world you designed. But what you don't know is whether you're going to be born black or white, male or female, rich or poor, bright or retarded, able-bodied or infirm, in the United States or Afghanistan. All you know is that you're going to reach into this barrel, which now has 6 billion balls, as we know, representing one person, every person in the world, and you're going to participate in what I call the Ovarian Lottery. You're going to take one ball out of that barrel, and you're never going to get another ball. That's you. You're going to get one ball, and now you're going to emerge. Now, what kind of rules do you want to have for that society, not knowing which ball you're going to get? Now, that I put to you is the way I think people should think about social policy. And if you're lucky enough to be born in this country, you've won the lottery already. But we should have a system, in my view, that encourages the Jack Welches and the Bill Gateses and all of that to work far beyond the time when it has any economic significance to them. We want people commanding those resources who are extremely able at commanding them. That's how the standard of living moves forward. So we should want, we should want Tom Osborne coaching in Nebraska. We should want Bill Gates designing software, and we don't want to mix up those two. We don't want to get Bill coaching in Nebraska. So you want a system that gets people to their potential and puts them in the position where they can do the most good for society. But you also want a system for the people who get the wrong ball. I mean, somebody's going to get the ball, that says 80 IQ. Somebody's going to get the ball that says this disease or that disease early in life that cripples them. And we've got a rich enough society that we can take care of those people. And I think that, to get back to your question, I think that this society will move more and more in that direction. It has the capability of moving more and more in that direction as our resources and our output increases. And I think that it has the will to do that in a general way, although, like I say, there have always been lots of fits and starts. So there is no shortage in the United States of resources. There's no shortage of output. You have to have a system that encourages people to behave to the limit of their abilities and puts them in the right place. But then you have to make sure that everybody gets taken care of, too. Now, we can do one more, and then we'll break. I'll let the fellow with the microphone, or woman here, make the decision.
Hi, my name is Ben Gold. I go to Brown Talbot. And I wanted to know, how do you think the media affects the world economically today?
Well, it's a small question. Well, what it obviously does, simply because it's moved so far technologically, is it's brought it together in a big way. I mean, I was over in China a few years ago, and I was right after the time of the Women's Conference in Beijing, and I was reading the Chinese coverage of that conference, and of course it had nothing to do with what was taking place, but the internet was coming in, and you can access the Washington Post or the New York Times or anything. I get the Washington Post at 9:30 here at night, in effect. I never could get it the next day through physical delivery, but by electronic delivery I can read it. Probably earlier than most of the people in Washington are reading it. So the ability to communicate and the degree to which the world can have awareness of what's going on every place in the world is just, you know, it's been a quantum leap. And, you know, that will have, there are a lot of things that come out of that. And net, they're a plus over time. But the ability of information to be available to everyone worldwide almost instantaneously, it can be huge advances in things like medicine, for example, just to pick one. So it's a net plus. It has a big effect, and the definition of media has now been expanded enormously. I mean, there were 3 television networks in the early 1960s, and that was it. There were 3 highways information traveled electronically. And if the 3 pieces of information were I Love Lucy, you know, and something else, those were the 3 choices of information or entertainment that you had for tens and tens of millions of people sitting there looking at a tube. Now it's unlimited, and that's only, what, 3 or so decades. So it's just exploded, and it'll continue to explode. And net, I think it's a plus. And I think it's 1 o'clock. I want to thank you all. I wish you well. You're going to do terrific. Thanks.
Thank you.